You have activated a podcast from the Psychon Network.
And now, on with the show.
Welcome to the Retrograde podcast, the show where we review retro brains. This is episode 22, and today we're going to be discussing the Konami-published title, Zombies Ate My Neighbours. My name's Jack Marshall. I'm joined today by Anthony Hobday.
Hello.
There's Anne Fisher.
Hi.
And James McFadden.
Hi.
Hey. Back once again, Retrograde Masters.
James McFadden.
James McFadden. It's got a nice ring to it, your surname.
I'm saying it because he's back.
Yeah.
Anyone got any banter? Any stuff?
Yes.
Suzanne, go on.
My friend Jenny, she has a blog site called Fancy Dresscapades. So if you
Good
type,
name. It's a
good name.
Fancy Dresscapades, and she does cosplay and vintage dress, and she does a lot of Lindy Hop, so she does a lot of 50s style dressing up as well. It's all very, very cool. And she started listening to the podcast, and she liked it so much she's doing a special article tomorrow, which will be on her website tomorrow, based on this week's episode. Yay. She is creating her very own Zombie Ate My Neighbours costume. And she's going to be posting about it tomorrow on her website. So go to Google, type in Fancy Dresscapades at some point tomorrow, and check out her website because it's really awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Her archive stuff as well. And it's a very good website, and she's doing us a favour. So yes, have a look at her site.
Awesome.
After you mentioned it last time, I looked it up. It's pretty decent. I mean, she puts a lot of effort into those costumes.
I've not looked yet.
She also got a lot of pictures from places like Comic Con where we went to.
Yeah, she went to Comic Con recently. She went both days. First day she
has
dressed
she ever
up.
won any prizes or anything? I imagine she probably
Not for her
has. She's
costume.
got blog.
She may have won prizes for her costumes. I'm not sure.
Cool.
But yeah,
Okay.
she does loads of stuff.
Fancy Dresscapades. I'm gonna look
Fancy Dresscapades.
Fancy
yeah.
Dresscapades. Good at that. Anyone else? What's been going on? James?
I've got another thing.
If you make, we've already talked about it. Please don't say anything about Bioshock
Bioshock
spoilers.
Infinite,
Please
guys.
don't. Is it actually? Is it good? Would be the first question.
Yeah, it's good. You've read the reviews.
I haven't.
haven't read any reviews?
I have avoided every trailer since the first trailer they showed back in
Really?
about 2011. The first ever one. I've not watched
you know-
anything since. I'm even annoyed that when I saw the special order, there's like a statue of like a crow.
Yeah.
And I'm annoyed that it showed. I saw that because now I know there's something to do with crows in the game.
There are crows in the
Yeah,
I
I'm
won't
annoyed
reveal
about that.
much. So
Wait,
you don't
there
know
are-
what it has on Metacritic or anything. You haven't.
I saw, and I was really. I know it's got like 95% or something.
96.
And I saw
spoilers?
I walked into game and they had a screen up, and I just happened to look up and I saw a bit where an ambulance was driving towards the girl, and I was really annoyed. So I was like, God damn, it's another spoiler.
Just play the game then.
I know, I can't afford 40 quid. It's a lot of money.
It is
Great credit
25
card.
on Steam.
Oh no, but I play on Xbox
Well,
because
then you're wrong.
I'm the superior
That's your
gaming
fault,
race.
that's why you haven't played
That's
it
why it's
yet.
more money because it's better.
give me one win, which is better on the Xbox.
Because you have to control it with an analog stick rather than a mouse and keyboard. And that's obviously much better, right, Jack?
Yeah, and it. Yeah.
I'm being sarcastic because the listeners probably don't
Is
know.
it a good game though? Are you seriously better than Bioshock 1 so far?
Do you want me to tell you that? Because Bioshock 1 is my favourite FPS.
Really, ever?
Yeah.
So, yeah, is it as good as that?
I mean, now it's a much better game, but there have been a lot of years between Bioshock 1 and Bioshock Infinite.
Yeah.
I think it's going to have less of an impact overall. It's less innovative, but it's beautiful. You'll love it. It's amazing.
I don't know the name actually. Infinite. I think it's a bit of a lame name.
It makes sense.
Oh, okay. Let's do it again.
It's,
Oh, right, okay.
They didn't just think of a random word. Ultimate Bioshock. Reckoning.
But it's weird they didn't just say Bioshock 3.
Well, that'd be a bit. I don't know. It's not because the first two Bioshocks were in Rapture, so it makes sense
This
for
one's
this not
up in-
to have a numeric.
I was about to say space.
But almost.
Up in space. Anthony, what have you been up to? Anything interesting?
There was something I wanted to mention. I found this, I came across this the other day, and it reminded me of a thing we've mentioned quite a few times. And it sort of codifies it, so I thought I'd go into it, because it's quite interesting. And then we can refer to it in future episodes.
Alright, what is it?
There's a website called 8kindsoffun.com
Alright.
by this guy called Mark LeBlanc. He has theories about video game design. But he basically codified these 8 different kinds of fun that a game can offer. And since we covered the reasons why games are fun, I thought I'd just go into each one and, because they're pretty interesting.
Alright.
The first one is sensation, which is sense pleasure, and that fits into what I keep on saying about having happy blasted at my face.
Are you going to relate all these to Gunstar Heroes and why it's
no,
brilliant?
but that
Okay.
this stuck out to me because this is why I like games like Gunstar Heroes, because there's a lot of sensation.
It's very sensory.
Yeah, so I like games that fulfill that sensation pleasure, whatever.
The sensation of having Happy blasted all over your face.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So now we can refer to it.
He's a sensual gamer. That's good, James.
Now we can refer to it maybe more technically than having Happy blasted on my face. But the other 7 are
Sensual gaming.
fantasy, which is the make-believe, narrative, which is the unfolding
I
story,
like that one.
Dopey as well, Doc.
challenge, which is obstacle course,
Oh,
fellowship, which is a social framework, discovery, which is the uncharted territory, expression, which is the soapbox it gives you, and submission, which is a mindless pastime. So most mobile games.
Was he saying a game has to have all of these to?
No,
be a
he's
great
saying
game?
that those
these
are the 8
common
different kinds they
things.
can offer.
Oh, okay,
So I prefer games that offer a lot of sensation,
right.
whereas some people might like the exploratory or the...
but most games will
Soapbox.
offer most of those things.
Yeah, they're like...
Certain ways.
To some level, but yeah, they'll all be to different degrees.
But
won't
I think
they,
you'll
which
rarely
makes
find
the
a
games
game
different.
that offers you all 8.
Super Mario World.
No.
Well, no, because the one that that was the one that threw when you said social, because I was like, well, that's kind of a very narrow. Well, actually, no, I guess okay, might be about gaming and stuff, but yeah,
Soapbox.
there's a lot of games that wouldn't have.
Mario
been
doesn't let you express yourself to the world.
I don't know. I express him all over some Koopa
What does he
Troopers.
mean by soapbox? That
It means like a game that lets you express how
It's
you
like-
feel.
So like creating an avatar.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
What about
Like a choose your own adventure kind of thing.
I reckon quite a few MMOs would probably tick all those boxes.
Yeah. Well... narrative.
Yeah, there are a lot of. I mean, World of Warcraft had quite a complex
God, yeah.
story. Not very good, but it was there.
I felt like I really had a real motivation to kill those 18 walruses and get their tusks.
The walrus thing I'll give you, but those pork livers, they had to be delivered.
Like I was very adamant, even though you'd been delivered the same pork livers by 18 other people beforehand, and I watched them do it.
What's the website called? 8 Ways to Have Fun.
That's a different website. Do not go to that website. No, it's 8 kinds of fun, but that's just his general like musings page where he collects all this stuff. But you can go there if you want to read more about it. Oh, I thought that was pretty interesting, so you can refer
I
to it in the
thought you were
future.
going to mention. I'm not sure if you guys have you noticed there's a lot of things coming out at the moment called Retrograde. I say a lot of things too, but there's a new song out by a guy called I think it's James Blake called Retrograde.
Well, no, and there's lots of stuff on iTunes called Retrograde.
Apparently, it's something
Which
to do
isn't
with
just
like
us.
it's meant to be. Retrograde apparently has something to do with like planets or something.
We discussed
Yes,
this
it
when
does.
we named the podcast.
When
didn't
we
Yeah.
before we named
Okay.
the show, before the first episode, we did that
No, but then
discussion.
there's also a game just come out called Retro/Grade.
Well, that came out a while ago. Before
Yeah,
we named
that
the
was
podcast.
before we were a thing
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, okay.
It was on PSN, but it's
Well,
just come out
I'm
on
still
PC.
reckon this singer James Blake named his song after us. I need to listen to the lyrics in case it's about a gaming podcast.
Casey goes, Jack, James, and Tim.
That'd be really weird. I would sue him as well. But like, hey, can't do that. I
advertising.
listened to it hoping it was going to be quite a fast like techno song. It's not. It's really slow. So I was like, oh, I won't make a good theme tune. I don't think he even says retrograde as well.
We're really
I
slow.
was hoping he was going to go retrograde or something.
We're not fast paced, so I think it fits.
Maybe.
We're kind of boring.
Anyone else got anything they want to share?
I had one more thing.
Go on.
I just wanted to point this out to Anthony last week in the pub, that I really like the fact that just after
Uh-oh.
Easter, which, as we all know, is the day God created zombies by bringing Jesus back to life, we're doing a game about zombies. How perfect is that? I asked Anthony if he did it on purpose. He said no.
Then, of course,
It's Anthony, so he may have done. But I just thought it was really good because, you know, Easter's the zombie holiday, and here we are doing a zombie game.
Jesus done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first zombie, the original zombie.
Hardest to kill.
He died for our sins,
Actually,
then
it wasn't
came back.
Hardest to kill, did you say?
Didn't take a while. They think he died of asphyxiation, not of like bleeding out. They think because he was on a cross.
Well, no, you die of dehydration first.
But-
Because he's in the boiling hot desert sun, isn't he, on a cross? Dehydration and sunburn.
Well, they poked his side though, didn't they? Cut his side
With a
open.
spear,
So
yeah.
surely that would kill. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it would be a slow bleed, but the dehydration, like, you die.
Plus, you've got
If you
nails in
don't...
your hands and feet.
24 hours without water, you die.
Is it that? Is it
24
that quick?
hours?
24
Yeah.
hours. I thought it was like
No.
2 days or 3 days
Yeah,
for
I
some
thought it
reason.
was-
I thought it was a little bit. I thought food was like 7 days and drink was like 2 days.
Food's 2 weeks, I think.
It's 40 days. Have you heard of David Blaine?
That does that.
Oh, that was the
technically
stunt he
prove-
did down by the River Thames, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People got
Me and my boyfriend-
hamburgers and like flew them up with.
Me and my boyfriend at the time went down there. There was a burger van right outside. So British, I loved it. We went down there and we got burgers and sat there munching them, like shouting abuse up at him.
Why? Wait, what?
I was 17, he was 18. He liked magic but hated David Blaine. So we went to
David.
London specially
All magicians
to
hate
hurl
David
to hurl
Blaine,
abuse
sorry.
at David Blaine. It's because he's not a magician.
What is he?
brilliant.
An illusionist.
He's a very good
No, he's
magician.
not
very
even
good
an
magician.
illusionist. He just does stunts.
You could palm
Like
it.
Jesus.
He doesn't do tricks, right, Anthony?
He does tricks.
But yeah, so zombie
Record.
holiday,
They call it
zombie game.
illusions.
It works beautifully.
That's true, yeah, and we are here to talk about Zombie Ate My Neighbours, and I'm going to apologise now because all week I've been saying Plants vs Zombies to people. I keep getting the name. I don't know why though. I just keep getting them mixed up.
Because Plants vs Zombies is an awesome game.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic game. I wish we could do
They're
it for
making
the
a
show.
second
but-
one.
I've logged too many hours on it
They've
on
been making it
Steam.
for a long time, haven't they? They announced that quite a while
Well,
ago.
PopCap was bought by EA, and they fired most of the guys who worked on it.
Oh, yeah,
No.
they fired the original guy who designed it and stuff. Yeah.
Plus, it takes a long time to make Flash games. So
Yeah.
To be fair, I hope they take the time though, because I think it's one of the most perfectly designed games ever made. Which is,
It is
which, you know,
wonderful.
they can stick that on the box. You know, Jack Marshall, host of Retrograde, one of the best designed games ever made. Honestly, I think it's brilliant.
Best gedined.
Designed. But yeah, today we're going to talk about Zombies Ate My Neighbours. Let's have a quick blurb on the game from the founder of Psychon.net, Brecky K. Thomason.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors is a run-and-gun video game developed by LucasArts, originally published by Konami for the Super Nintendo and Sega Mega Drive and Sega Genesis consoles in 1993. The object of the game is for one or two players to take control of protagonists, Zeke and Julie, to rescue the titular neighbors from monsters often seen in horror movies. Aiding them in this task are a variety of weapons and power-ups that can be used to battle the numerous enemies in each level. Various elements and aspects of horror movies are referenced in the game, with some of its more violent content being censored in various territories such as Europe and Australia, where it is only known as zombies. While not a massive commercial success, the game has been well received for its graphical style, humor, and deep gameplay, and as such has received a cult status among gamers.
And just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying this episode, you should head over to iTunes right now and pop down a review for us. Also, you can follow us at Twitter at Retrograde Show. I was about to say .com, but no, it's Twitter, so you don't have to put .com. But yeah. Anthony, you chose this game. Why and did you... you never played it before, did you?
no, I haven't.
So I guess why and then did you enjoy playing it?
I basically chose it because I kept hearing people refer to it. Like, for example, on Game Grumps,
Oh, okay.
which I watch a lot of
You
these
love
days.
Game Grumps.
Yeah.
Every episode, there's the plug for Game Grumps in there.
Have they
let's
plugged
see.
us?
Oh, Nino Kuni. I forgot to mention Nino Kuni. Dang it. Great
that
game. Masterpiece. No,
You completed it yet, did you, Kitty?
no.
Oh, God.
But I will. I have to. No. I keep hearing references to Zombies Ate My Neighbor, so it kind of always struck me as a cult classic.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I figured it'd probably be a good one to do on this show because I needed to just play it. And this show's all about offering a perspective, like a modern perspective on classic games.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, why not?
So what did you think? What struck you first when you played it?
I like the graphics. It's quite...
A zombie. A zombie struck him first. Lol.
I struck the zombie.
The game logo. Yeah.
You stroked the zombie.
No, I struck
You're playing
the
it wrong.
zombie.
Struck the zombie.
Yeah. No. Like, graphics and sound and everything wise, it's quite charming, but the controls bug me a little bit. The
Why is
game
that?
doesn't really... Well, I'll get into that later, but the game doesn't really seem to have much direction. I think it's probably built for co-op, just like a previous game we've played, Goof Troop. Mm-hmm. In that the single player has even less direction. And it's not a very full game because of all that stuff. Like, there's not much meat to it.
Really?
Oh, pun.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of meat.
I mean, no, it's a long game,
Yeah.
but it seems a bit repetitive
How
to me.
far did you get?
It's
I'd rather not-
48 levels.
Yeah, I'd rather not say. I didn't.
I think
complete
personally
it.
I think, right, okay.
It does get very
is
steep
And
in
did you play any
difficulty,
more
yeah.
from what we discussed the other day?
No, I watched more.
Okay, right, cool.
So I
yeah, I
experienced more.
I played up to the same point as you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And didn't
Have you done the baby stuff?
see any more.
The giant baby.
The giant baby.
What?
I saw the giant baby.
Yeah, the giant baby.
The toddler.
I didn't do a giant baby.
Well, none of us did a giant baby.
Well,
Did you get to the football?
Oh, Jack!
no, I did a level with the giant baby.
Disclaimer: none of us have done a giant baby.
James, what do you think of the game? Oh, you hadn't finished, did you? But I'm
No, I
going
have.
to cut you off
No,
at that point.
I have finished. I
We've
finished.
we've had enough, Anthony.
James, you played before, and what did you
Yeah, I
think of it?
played it when it first came out. Actually, I played this co-op with my sister back in like early 2000s, late 90s. Because obviously we had a SNES for ages.
Yeah.
I was like one when it came out. I don't know, 93, 94.
You do this every episode to make me feel really old. Wow, how was I 2?
Yeah.
I think I was minus 4 months. Go on.
And I loved it. It was great. She was terrible. We always fought. We still fight, and throughout our lives we fought. But over computer games, it tended to get quite vitriolic. But it's a very unusual game. The level design is very bland. The art style kind of saves it for me because it's got quite a lot of varied assets, and the enemy types and the weapon types and sort of the terrain is very different on a level-to-level basis. And that kind of, for me, gives it a lot of longevity because every time I go back, I'm going to get something new, especially with the level codes. I like that.
They squeeze quite a lot out of the assets that are in there, is what I think. If that makes
That's
sense.
a nice way of putting it.
they squeeze it out at the last drop.
Yeah.
But it's fun. There's not much more to it than that. There's no narrative, really, other than any you can give to it. It's kind of, it sort of prescribes to the notion of, was it submissive gaming?
Oh, you mean the 8 kinds of fun?
Well, no, submissive, I would imagine it's something where you just, like L.A. Noire or something, where it's just like, interrogate.
Oh no, submission is a mindless pastime.
Well, yeah, I think it's quite mindless.
So you submit to it, like you don't really think about it while you're playing it. So yeah, I guess the two of you, because there's not much to do while you're looking at it, rather than just look for people to rescue.
I personally think I've been playing it back in the day when it came out as well, and I think actually I was going to say that maybe it's a bit mindless, but I'd say it's a very hard game.
It's hard.
It's very difficult, and actually I find you have to kind of. There's kind of a very slight depth to it in terms of like you can use different weapons on different enemies will get different results. Like if you used silverware on a Wolverine or whatever, werewolf, it'll kill it straight away. So you had to kind of quickly switch weapons, and you had to use the dummy decoys of the clowns to attract the chainsaw guys. So I don't know, I didn't find it mindless. I found actually I had to really concentrate and go, I found it really hard, basically.
Oh, it's very difficult. And by the way, if you freeze those chainsaw guys and then shoot them like 75 times with the pistol, they die.
Yeah, no, that's right.
That's
it's a lot of ammo.
an actual fact, yeah.
The gun never runs out. Pistol.
Yes, it
The,
does.
Yeah, it
the,
does.
The super soaker.
You've got ammo.
Oh, it does. Yeah, no, you're right. Actually, I never run it out because I'm, so good.
Is it a water pistol?
It's a water pistol, yeah.
I didn't
It
realise
felt like
was
it might be a
water pistol.
potato gun or something.
No, it's a
It
water
makes like a
pistol.
splash
Like Bugsy
then
Malone
when
potato
you
gun.
fire.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if it'd be quite cool if when you got into the water, it filled up again. That'd be quite cool.
Yeah,
if
that
that
would-
happened.
If it was a water
Makes
pistol,
sense,
yeah,
yeah.
that would make sense.
But obviously, it doesn't do that because not a very well designed
There's-
game.
Stupid game designers.
You finished your points, James? Anything else you want to say
It's
about it?
very good. It's fantastic.
Yeah?
I loved it. And I enjoyed playing it again. I enjoyed going back to it.
Zan, what do you think of it? Never played it before as well?
Oh, of course, I haven't played it before.
Sorry.
Because it wasn't in the pack that I got from my uncle when I was younger. So I played it. So played it. I enjoyed the music. The music
Fantastic.
is,
Especially, did you
is
get to
great.
the level with the
No.
No?
I like when you press start and it goes, whoa,
Yeah.
Well, Anthony and Jack will know. You know the level with the chainsaw guys? You first encounter them in the maze.
Yeah.
The music in that is... I can still remember it after all these years, but
But-
before having played it again, and it terrifies me.
But you think, I guess back then you didn't, but I quite liked it because it is reminiscent of the old kind of 50s horror films. And it's got
Yeah.
that creepy, like,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun.
Sort
It's
of
really a nice little twist on it.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And that added to the atmosphere of it. The gameplay was all right. Walking around and stuff. It was better once Neil lent me his Xbox controller, and I could plug that into my laptop and play it like that instead. I found that a lot easier than using the keyboard controls.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just didn't really... I mean, like, you guys seem to have been charmed by it. I didn't fall under its charm.
You don't think it's charming?
I thought, the music was good, it was entertaining, it was fun, like the animation, it was very good for an early SNES game.
Yeah.
And it had a good sense of humour about it and stuff. I just didn't find it that enjoyable.
Fair enough.
And it really annoyed
Why is
me.
That, Lisanne?
if-
Why is
I-
that?
well,
Let's
we'll-
unpack
we'll-
that statement.
Well, I didn't like the fact that the zombies were never ending. So it took me ages to realise that the aim of the level wasn't to kill all the zombies. It was to get everything you need and get out.
But that
I
adds an
thought I had
element
to kill all the zombies.
Get all the neighbours.
Get all the neighbours.
That adds an element of urgency to it, though. Otherwise, you could just clear out the level and slowly amble around looking for...
Well, yeah, that's
all
what I
the
prefer to do.
checkpoints. Oh.
It's easier that way.
Well, yeah, it's easier, but I mean, it's less tense.
No, it just irritated me. But I mean, like I said, there's a lot of positives about it. and it's better than a lot of other games you guys have made me
You didn't
play.
hate it?
I didn't hate it, no, and I'm not indifferent towards it. I like it,
You
but
like it, just not much.
yeah, like, you know, if this was a bloke, then I'd probably have a drink with him and then make an excuse and leave.
Would he buy the drink? Would you let him buy you a drink?
Yeah, he'd buy me the drink.
That's quite disingenuous. If you don't, I mean, if you see him and
I liked him enough to meet up with him.
All right, so you hadn't. He was still.
Yeah,
on
I
the
didn't know who.
table
Yeah.
Just giving him a chance, basically.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
You gave him a chance.
And I, you know, liked him enough to agree to a drink.
I see.
Do you think another woman might have gone all the way with him?
Well, you three all did.
Yeah, that's true. I like I said, I played back in the day. I really liked this game, but funny enough, I have to go back and remember what it was like when I first played it. And I remember I did find it. I have to agree with Suzanne a little bit very frustrating.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I don't know if it's just generally because I found it quite difficult, but I do remember like there were times where I'd get lost in a level, or I had to try find.
Yeah, the map
last
wasn't very
neighbour.
helpful at all.
Yeah, well, it's just a flashing dots on a radar.
It is,
nothing.
but some
Right.
kind of layout of the level would have been nice. And then
And
for
I-
some later levels, take out the level layout and have it just blank.
This.
But some kind of level layout would have been nice.
I played it just for the sake of change. I played it on the Genesis Mega Drive, this version, so I thought I'd give it a go. And I still find the controls, I always find the switching, I don't know why, but having the items and weapons and switching between them using two different buttons and then firing them with two different buttons. I know they're both up, you know, above each other. I still just found it difficult.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Quite often I'd use a health pack when I meant to shoot, or the other way around. Where I wanted to switch a
I kept
weapon,
doing that.
and I accidentally threw out a grenade or something, and I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
damn, and I still did it. But and yeah, so I really do like the game. I find it incredibly charming. I love all the characters. I love all the design. I love the artwork. I love the sort of nods to the classic sort of 50 horror films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed all of that. But yeah, I still find it's. I guess I just find it a little bit too difficult, and it's weird actually because it's one of the only other games that I didn't actually enjoy too much. Also playing in co-op.
Oh really?
I found this when it went to because wasn't it? I admit I didn't play it this time, but it's not split screen until you both leave the screen.
You can only go to the edge of the screen, right?
Yeah, no, it's one screen.
It doesn't split.
Oh, you have to stay on the same screen. For some reason,
And
I
I
thought
think
it was
that
when you
works a lot
walked
better
off
for
screen,
sense.
it was split. I don't remember. I mean, maybe it's because the people I was playing with back in the day, it was probably my sister as well. I didn't enjoy it as much in co-op. I found it more. It made it harder, I guess, because it's such a fast-moving game that you have to really work together.
Yeah,
and
there
you have
would
to really be like, right, come over here, come over here, come over here.
There would
It's
be
just
times when she was going down like to follow the level, and we'd had some kind of dispute, and I'd just go up and just not let her progress. That's the type of person I was when I was a young child.
yeah, no.
Excellent.
Facilitates shenanigans.
But no, I actually, I think it's a really charming game. I can see why it's a cult classic because
Well, it goes after the cult aspect of things, doesn't
Yeah,
it? Oh,
and-
it's the B movies are cult things, and you know the theme song and the art direction, the art style and everything.
What I thought was quite good was the 3D glasses that the boy is wearing. I mean, 3D movies, that was like a really early phenomenon, right? That was sort of in the 50s.
I remember like there's a character in Back to the Future wears them, and he's in the 50s, so it must have been a fashion thing to wear those.
So I think
yeah.
that's like a throwback to that, but I think it's funny now that obviously 3D is coming back. But they had no idea at the time it was meant to be a whole retro thing.
The story, there is actually meant to be a storyline that was only in the manual, but there's been
Zombies ate my
a
neighbors.
nuclear waste spill in the local lake that's caused all of the creatures, which is pretty rubbish.
Did that cause the giant baby?
I guess so.
That
But
was
then
the
the
greatest
final
tragedy.
boss is called Dr. Tongue and has nothing to do with that spill. So I don't know. I know it sounds like a dirty porn
Dr.
film.
Tongue, that's awful.
But yeah.
Is he a giant tongue?
No, he's just I don't know why it's called Dr. Tongue either. I looked that up, I couldn't find anything. But the final boss, he turns into a spider. Then when he got a spider, he turns into a giant head, just floats around for some reason. It's a weird boss, but
There are a lot of weird bosses.
and I guess
Giant
that was one thing I did want to talk about. Actually, was the amount of enemies in it because there are loads. There's like it's got every kind of horror B movie I could think.
There's one
of.
level where you're in a maze.
Does it have
Like
the giant blob?
Yeah, pink blobs.
yeah.
Yeah, they fire blobs in the air, and if they land on your head, they like you just got a gloop in your head, and you have to stop for 3 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Then you carry on.
There's one level that's just a concentric circle maze, and there are loads of gigantic ants that like climb over the walls, and you have to kill them.
So like
pretty
some of them are some of the levels are so hard when you get in. One of the pyramid ones, there's one where you fight the graboids, the giant worms.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that as a kid, and it was so hard because if you run out of that was another thing about the game. If you run out of weapons, often you'd be like, well, I'm kind of screwed now.
But then you can just reload the level with the code.
Did it have? I don't think it had a save. Oh, a code, yeah. Because
Yeah,
they
the
wanted to
level
put a save game in, but they didn't have. It was cost too much money apparently to put a
Really?
save chip or whatever inside
You're
the
going to put a
cartridge.
battery in each cartridge.
Yeah, that was the problem.
Oh, of course.
Because the batteries, there's like tutorials now on the internet of how you can kind of like if you've got a copy of Zelda, the battery might wear out soon, and you have to like manually open it and replace the battery
Oh, yeah,
yourself.
I've heard of people doing that. but
I've
you don't
only
get to keep
just
the save.
completed that after 19 years. You're telling me it's oh my
They don't.
god.
I think they've got like a long life on them, but
Yeah,
some people,
yeah,
I think
sure.
people have been playing them for years and years and years non-stop.
I know people who got the original Pokemon when they came out, like they've started to have them die. But obviously, it must depend on how much you play it, because surely the battery's not.
Yeah.
I think so.
So.
Reviews for the game at the time were really good. It's on GameRanks at the moment, 85%. EGM at the time gave it 9 out of 10. IGN gave it 8 out of 10. Nintendo Power gave it 3.8 out of 5. Nintendo Life gave it 8 out of 10. Sega 16 gave it 8 out of 10. Well, that's a website, so that must have been recently. So it did really quite well reviewed at the time.
Well, it came out again on a Virtual Console for the Wii.
It was
So I
really...
guess people
and it was
re-reviewed it.
they had, when they were like asking on forums and stuff, people were like, what games do they want to see on virtual consoles? It was one of the most popularly requested games. Like always in like top 5 and stuff, which again is quite surprising. I guess I don't know why, but
Well, that's what I was thinking. I don't think it's deserving of the cult classic status it seems to have.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you guys both played it when you were young, so maybe that makes a difference. But now, looking back on it, there are just things that like it's not deep enough a game for me to think this is worth spending time with.
So then you've got criteria in your head for what constitutes a cult classic.
Yeah, but I couldn't tell you what they are.
Okay. That, yeah. Alright.
Well, because it's all very nebulous and subjective, right? So it's hard to
Yeah.
put into words anyway.
But depth is one of them.
Well, I think in a game like this is what I was thinking, right? It's not a deep game, but then I think Smash TV is a fantastic game. And it's a similar top-down shooting game. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's a lot of differences, but it's a similar kind of mechanic. And I think that is a cult classic. There's obviously very little depth to that game. And that's purely about the controls, I think. And that was one of the problems I had with this game, was that I've never liked having to aim with the movement buttons. Because if you have to adjust your aim and then it moves you forward and you actually run into the enemy,
Yeah.
that just annoys me because that's bad
do you
design
think
to
that's
me.
just something though you've got more comfortable with it over time because of dual analog sticks and stuff on 360 and PlayStation?
I think nowadays there's more options for avoiding that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Back then you had 8 face buttons basically and 2 shoulder buttons. With Smash TV, for example, you didn't have things like items really, so they could use the right face buttons, the 4 face buttons, to shoot up, down, left, right, and so that made it a much better dual stick, shooter back then. But they couldn't do that with Zombies Ate My Neighbors because they had items to use and
Yeah,
switching weapons
yeah.
and things. But it would have benefited a lot if they'd, say, taken out the items and made it a dual stick shooter instead.
Did you like the GoldenEye control scheme?
I think they probably did the best with what they could.
So that's a no.
Again, it was one of those ones I think at the time I thought it was perfect. I was like, they're never going to make this any better. And then it's just, and there'll be something in the next generation that will look back and try play Black Ops and go, oh dear, how the hell did I use control of
That's-
this?
yeah,
I don't
I
know
did
what.
that.
But
I don't like first-person shooters on consoles in general. Now that I'm used to a mouse and keyboard, I can't stick with it. So if I try to play GoldenEye now, I might get a bit frustrated. But back then it was obviously revolutionary because the analog stick hadn't really
Exactly.
happened before.
But then it was weird because they didn't use it to aim; they used it to move, and then they used the C buttons to aim, which is
Yeah, that
feels
was.
weird.
I'd forgotten all about that.
And then they have there was just the directional buttons that you could use to move, are just not. I don't think they're even used in the game, are they?
Not often. It had a pretty strong auto aim though, right? GoldenEye.
Yeah.
So
you didn't really ever have to aim up or down much.
no, you just aim at the head, and then you wouldn't have to look up or down.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Eurogamer did a retrospect of this game, fun enough, yesterday, which was, I was like, oh, that's quite weird. One of the things they brought up was something that we mentioned in the show before, how...
It's not weird. It's when Jesus rose from the dead as a zombie.
They were doing the zombie thing too.
Oh, is that what it would do? I didn't even make that
No,
connection.
I'm just saying that
That's
Zan
true.
saying
Probably.
yesterday is when Jesus
that's pretty. I
became
think,
the
that's, I
first
think they
zombie.
mentioned that in the article. But I was going to say how they brought up something that we brought up, how back then zombies weren't a popular enemy in games. It was a thing, and now it's it's commonplace. We mentioned in, I can't remember what game we did, but we said how they've become like an enemy type. You can't really say it's a zombie game because they're like soldiers.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. So this game at the time when they did zombies was actually quite fresh. It was quite new.
Soldiers everywhere. God bless this dystopian.
No, it
future.
wasn't. Well, Arabs everywhere in every game, basically, just like in the films. It's like the new enemy. No, it is the new enemy.
Just like them Jews in
God.
Hollywood.
No, but like back in the 90s when it was a Cold War, it was all the Russians or the enemies.
The Cold War wasn't in the
Now,
90s.
whatever it was, I don't
the Cold
know. Back in the 70s.
The 60s. The Cold War was the 60s.
Whatever, they're blurring to
Wait.
one
The Cold
for
War
me.
ended in the 90s, right? It ended in the 90s. It wasn't like the 90s.
Well, when
was
the fall of the USSR or whatever.
I thought it ended like way before that.
I remember
No,
watching
it
the
was-
Friends finale while it was still going on. But anyway.
That was in the 40s.
But
are you on about?
anyway, the point was, and now because of all like terrorism stuff, now the enemies in every film and TV games are like Afghans. Like me and my house were talking about how every Call of Duty
Dude, don't say that. They'll bomb us.
Well, our
already
little
trying
podcast.
Oh, that's true.
Like every Call of Duty game has
I
like
don't
a
agree. I
level
think
based in an
they're
Afghan
saying-
market. It's like, oh god. But anyway,
But it is called modern warfare.
well, exactly.
Yeah, there's no one else
So-
to
But, like,
shoot.
every
It
level
is-
is like,
where
where are we now?
where are
We're
all the
in Yemen.
wars? Where are all the wars at the moment?
In the Middle East.
That's where they're basing
I
them.
want
Then,
a
isn't it?
game where the war is set in America and I get shitloads of Americans.
Yeah, it's called Homefront
Oh, well, Homefront's about Koreans, right?
in America.
But do you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
to play as the Koreans?
No.
Oh no,
I don't want to play as the Americans anymore. I'm sick of their bullshit.
Well, in Call of
Didn't
Duty,
they-
when you
Oh, beep.
Call of Duty when you when you play multiplayer, it goes like, "Let's kill the American pigs,"
I
and you
always
run
feel
out as an
better about
Afghan.
it.
In Battlefield 3, it's Russians and Americans.
Oh, I see. That's what Russia again. Russian and zombie are kind of synonymous. It's
I-
faceless, like,
I want to play
Cold.
a game.
Both
where,
eat human flesh.
I want to play a game where the Welsh are invading everyone. And I get to play as a Welshman. That's what I want.
What?
That's never happened.
So zombies. Yeah, so zombies is an enemy class. So this was
Do you know
quite
why
rare
I
at the
think
time.
zombies has made a
I-
comeback?
Oh, I was going to ask you as a drama teacher, what makes a zombie? What makes?
Well,
the
we don't
idea of
have
a
many zombie plays.
Well, no, but you know,
But my
but
opinion,
why are they so? Why are young males so interested in?
It's Shaun of the Dead.
zombies? But just Shaun of the Dead.
yeah, before
the
Shaun of
only
the Dead,
reason.
zombies was not a popular genre.
How about 28 Days Later?
Well, yeah, but not to the same extent. That didn't reach as many people.
Plus the
It
zombies
didn't.
ran
It
in
didn't
that.
become as big a hit. Like that was more of a slow burner. Whereas Shaun of the Dead was like, bam! It exploded everywhere, and everyone loved it. And
Yeah.
like, I mean, that came out very early on in the noughties. Like, it's coming up for 10 years old now. That film,
really?
something ridiculous like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Space ended in like '99,
But-
I think.
yeah. And so,
99. Wait,
yeah,
it
something
ended
like
in
that.
99.
yeah,
Bloody hell, I love Space.
maybe before that
But
actually.
Simon Pegg must have thought, I'll make a zombie movie because
No, but they did it. I mean, if, like Spaced is full of all these B movie references, yeah. And the three of them, Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, they wanted to call it the Cornetto trilogy, where they do all the B movie stuff. They haven't made the third one yet. So they did
World's
Shaun of the
End.
Dead, which is all about zombies. But it was the zombie romantic comedy kind of thing, and so that brought back zombies, and it made zombies funny, and it captured everyone's interest. And then all this post-apocalyptic stuff started coming out because of Y2K, and so then that's when you get your 28 Days Later, and I Am Legend came out, and The Walking Dead, and everything. You know, it's all just really, really slowly built up out of that, and out of society, the zeitgeist in general, just being very, very dystopian. I'm trying to use as many words as possible that Jack doesn't understand.
What zeitgeist means?
Okay.
Just about.
This whole dystopian future, because that's the way society is at the moment. Is the economy is so down, and there's not much for young people to look forward to. So zombie apocalypse.
You looked at me when you said that.
Because you're the youngest person here,
looking
James,
forward to
and we're
stuff.
all jealous of your
When
youth.
Bioshock Infinite came
And
out,
you
I'm
hate
actually not looking forward to anything.
You hate society, like you're rebelling
but I
against
mean-
society all the time.
And so, that's why the zombie genre has kind of risen up. Plus, loads of games. There was one game, I can't remember the name of it. I think it was up on a spaceship somewhere, where you could
Dead Space?
engage.
Oh.
It might have been Deep Space.
Dead Space, sorry.
Dead Space, sorry, yeah, where you can engage zombie mode. And then suddenly the game changes from soldiers into zombies.
Oh no, that's
And that
Call of
became a
Duty.
thing. Oh, is it Call of Duty? Okay.
Yeah, that's zombie mode.
Oh, it's a game I haven't played. I've just heard about it. And
was
so
gonna-
that happened, and then the zombie thing became a lot more popular, and then the best zombie game of all time came out, Plants
Why-
vs Zombies.
Why do you think
And,
Shakespeare
yeah.
wrote so many parts for zombies?
There aren't any parts for zombies. There are no zombies in Shakespeare.
Not even The Tempest.
Nope.
I was really surprised.
No.
This is what I was.
Othello.
Nope. There's a black man in Othello.
It's close.
Revolutionary for the time.
Are there any Russians?
Caliban was kind of
No.
a zombie,
They didn't know Russia existed.
Oh, really?
No, I'm joking, they did.
but I was gonna ask because more like down because basically I remember reading about George Romero when he made basically George Romero I didn't realize basically invented the idea of
You
zombies.
first said George
Yeah.
Romero, then John Romero.
George Romero, sorry.
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead.
I thought it came from like literature, like vampires from like 300 years ago.
Vampires are different to zombies.
No, that's what I mean. He made up the whole thing of zombies, and he said the reason he did was because he needed a creature that basically didn't take a lot of makeup.
Yeah.
And he could get round the whole censorship because you're not killing a human, you're killing zombies. And I was going to ask you kind of like, what makes a zombie when it's so mindless? It's just got one goal, and that's just to come after you and eat you. What makes that so attractive as an enemy?
It doesn't just have one goal. I mean, if you watch the original, was it Dawn of the Dead?
No, the Night of the Living
Night
Dead.
of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
The zombies are sort of performing like they're in malls and stuff, and they're blah blah blah, whatever social
Well, that was-
commentary.
that
We're
was,
all on this consumer whores.
Which is what Shaun of the Dead was playing on as well.
That's a sequel, but yeah.
And so, I mean, that's like it was meant to be sort of satire in a way, I think. But did he invent zombies? Like, did he invent? Because undead have been in literature.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was something about like the
Frankenstein.
Walking Dead or something like that. But he kind of invented the whole
The modern zombie.
Frankenstein was released
that idea of zombies.
Frankenstein was released in the late 1800s, the novel by Mary Shelley. That was the late 1800s. That was one of the first, like, I mean, essentially he kind of was a zombie because he was dead flesh brought back to life, kind of thing. So, yeah, but he was manufactured by man, whereas, well, I don't know, like, well, zombie law has many different ways that
Resident
we
Evil
can
is
become
zombies.
zombies.
I thought you said zombie law.
Zombie law, Lore. Zombie
but,
law.
like, forgetting about the
Like
origins.
folklore, but
Zombie law,
zombies.
don't become a zombie.
Yeah.
The one
But
and
forgetting about the origins of it, why do you guys think that zombie is in the characteristics of zombie makes such an attractive one in films and in video games? That's
They're
what I've come
scary,
asking.
man.
No, but they're not.
But
Really,
no, the fear with a zombie as opposed to any other kind of creature like that is that you can become one. If one bites you, if you get like a bit of their spit in your mouth or something, get a bit of blood,
Don't kiss
exchange
them.
fluids, you know, you can become one of these things. That's the fear, is you don't want to be one of those.
Also,
That's
works with
what-
communists though. Cold
Yeah.
War defectors. They want to brainwash you. Zombies. maybe
Yeah,
again.
that's true. It does have good, really
I
good
kind
social
of-
commentary connotations as well.
I kind of wondered
Also
if
neat
it's a little
brains.
bit of a sadistic thing in the fact that they're is it bipedal? They're humans,
Bipedal.
but you can do whatever you want to them because they're dead.
They walk on.
But they don't rape them.
No, I don't mean what some films they do, but like I don't mean like that. But I mean,
What?
I mean like
Wait, no, there is a film
People
in which
don't-
zombie rape happens, but I'm trying.
yeah, I can't remember which one it is.
Wait, do zombies
It's
rape people
one-
or people rape
No,
zombies?
people rape zombies. Yeah.
What?
It's in. I think it's the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Is it?
I think there's a scene where he's having sex with a zombie. I can't remember what. I can't remember why though. But I'm just all I'm saying is
Ew.
that because they're like humans and they're like basically the closest thing to a human. Like when you're fighting a game where you're fighting aliens, like in Halo,
This
it's
is it. You
not the
can't.
same.
Yeah, but
but zombies.
that's because you can't become one of the aliens.
You think that's
You
yeah.
yourself cannot become one of the aliens. You yourself cannot become, any myriad of other enemies that come towards you. But you can become a zombie if they bite you.
What do you think, Anthony? You look
It's
like you want
that's
to say a
fear.
point.
That's what it is.
No, I agree. That makes sense.
Have any of you seen the original Precinct 13, I think it's called?
No.
Does that have zombies in it?
Well, this is the point I'm going to make. It's something similar to Precinct 13 if it's not Precinct 13. But basically,
Precinct 13.
yeah, these guys basically get holed up in a police station called Precinct 13.
Oh, that's
And-
convenient. Same name as the title.
Yeah, it works pretty well. This is Precinct 11. Don't know what the 13's about.
I'm knocking on.
But this clan of African Americans basically has this blood feud with the guy that they're protecting in the police station. And it's late at night, and they can't get any help in for whatever reason. The radio's out or something. And this clan basically performs this ritual, and they basically make it clear that they don't care if they die.
Okay.
And so they've got hundreds of people, basically rushing the police station. I keep on saying basically. They've got hundreds of people rushing the police station with no fear of death, trying to kill this one guy because they've got this feud with him. And so it's this real, culturally significant thing of theirs, so they don't care if they get killed or anything.
It sounds like Zulu, to be honest, at the moment. But
Yeah.
carry on. Yeah.
But so
Sounds like Lost Boys to me.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
they're basically
Like the Warriors.
killers. They're basically killers who don't worry about dying themselves, and zombies are very similar in that you've got hundreds of things running at
Yeah,
you
yeah.
that you can't frighten with a gun,
Yeah.
and are hard to kill because you have to shoot them in the head or whatever.
Yeah, you can't reason with them. That's
Yeah.
Especially
no
if they're,
logic there.
if they're fast zombies, especially because you've got fast
Oh
zombies.
god, the I Am Legend zombies. Those are the scariest
Wait till you see the
zombies.
trailer. Have you seen the trailer for World War Z? They're going
Oh,
mental.
God,
It's like a
don't.
For
horde of
what?
them.
World War Z.
World War Z. There's they've taken
Zed?
that fast thing and Zed.
Well, it's
and they've
American,
got
but-
millions
Alright.
of them running at once. But sorry, go on, Nancy. Finish your point.
I think it's that. It's that they're kind of usually endless and they're hard to stop.
I've also got one. Dystopian future again. Well, not actually. No, not just. Does dystopian have sci-fi connotations, or is it just?
It can
future?
do.
Well, no, actually, I'm going
But
to.
it's, you know, it's
basically.
So you basically say that everyone in a zombie film is the hero. They're always like, I'd never be a zombie. So is that what
No,
you
I'm
kind
just
of
going to say
think?
that post-apocalyptic sort of end of the world scenario again.
Nuclear
that's
war as a result of
whenever-
nuclear war, like the Chernobyl disaster and stuff, all the
Yeah.
radioactive and everything, like
Made loads
after
of zombies.
Hiroshima.
But that's mutants.
Hiroshima-
That's not dead.
Well, no,
Yeah, what is a
like-
zombie if not a mutated human.
Well, no, but it's dead. That's why I think people.
Yeah,
enjoy
but
killing
because
them,
but
they're
they've been
dead.
mutated by the
You don't feel
nuclear
guilty.
radioactive stuff that has then made their cells
Yeah, but I
change
could
and they
walk
come
in and
alive
go,
again.
guys, I've been mutated.
And then shoot you in the head.
And you can't just
And we kill
me.
you instantly.
But if I walked in and I was like, Jack's clearly dead, then you can kill me. I don't
Well, no,
mind.
because you normally just go.
If I'm a mutant, I'm like, don't kill me. With like 4
Can we
arms.
do a podcast?
Don't
now?
kill me. Welcome to the retrograde.
Can I say more about the video game we're discussing?
Yeah, go on. If you want.
'Cause I got
But
some
before you
points
do
here.
that, I think
No,
Jack's
give us-
got
give us
something
another-
he wants to say.
Give us another film review, Anthony.
I thought you were
What you
going
want
to
to
do
say about what if you like us on
How's
Twitter?
it contacted? Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to do
go
it
on.
halfway through.
I did it right at the start, but yeah, go on iTunes and write down a review if you're enjoying this zombie review show, apparently. Or you can follow us on Twitter at Retrograde Show. Go on, Anthony.
At Retrograde Show, was
At
that?
Retrograde Show. So.
And we're also on iTunes,
And you can write a review for us on iTunes.
where they can leave an.
And they can like us on Facebook.
And
Oh,
you can
they
follow
want.
us anywhere.
We've got a
Basically,
Facebook page as well.
Should we give out our home addresses as well if they want to, come to our
28, no.
houses?
It's all right. No thanks, Jack.
Go on, Anthony.
Okay, you mentioned the enemies earlier, and that's how we got into zombie. But there's a lot of different enemies in this game.
There's loads.
Yeah, they're mostly not.
I've got a list of them if you want to know any of them.
No, I don't.
Tell me
Because
what-
I read that list as well, so I don't really care. But
Alright.
one of the enemies that surprised me, because it's a video game, is the creepy-ass babies with axes.
Yep.
Because they're kind of genuinely scary, and they've got those wide eyes, and they run at you with an axe.
But that's that's meant to be Chucky from Charles.
yeah, no, I realise this,
Yeah.
this game is basically entirely horror movie fan service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe there was an element of them trying to cash in on that craze. Rather than just saying, we like this, they might have been saying, we want to get money off this. But the creepy-ass babies with axes and the chainsaw guys, I think are kind of genuinely scary.
Yeah.
The funny you say that because in the UK and European version, the game was not called Zombies Ate My Neighbours, it was called Zombies,
Yeah, I was
and the
gonna mention
chainsaw
that.
guys have axes.
I can understand toning down some of the enemies because they're kind of a bit frightening in some ways. But taking out Ate My Neighbours, just those words,
Yeah,
is
I
that
don't know
too
why
strong
that's-
for the UK audience?
Maybe they should have captured
Well,
my
we
neighbours.
weren't allowed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Teenage Hero
We had
Turtles,
to
yeah.
have Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles because, the UK, we don't do ninjas in the UK. we have
That's weird,
heroes.
because it took me a long time to figure out that when people talked about Zombies, Ate My Neighbours, they were talking about the game I played as a kid, because that one was called just Zombies, but they had chainsaws. So
Oh, did they? Oh, maybe I've got that wrong. I thought I read.
Does the title
I read it on
sequence-
Wikipedia.
Does
So
the title sequence in the European version say Zombies Ate My Neighbours or just Zombies?
in the US version, it says Zombies Ate My Neighbours. On the
I haven't
title
played the
screen.
UK version, so I don't know. what
The UK
title-
one just says Zombies, and for example,
Or
the
you mean the US one just says Zombies?
The US
No, no.
one, no, the US one is the one that's uncensored. That's like the director's cut.
Oh right. Oh,
Like
I
the
see.
death
Oh,
screen
okay.
in the US version has like reddish blood coming down at the end. In the UK version, apparently it has green blood.
Well, no, I read that they
okay.
still censored the US version. They removed the
really?
blood from the game.
The one I played had the blood coming down.
I had blood in my Genesis.
No, I mean from the enemies.
Dirty boy.
That sounds weird.
Oh, from the enemies. Oh.
Apparently they replaced blood from the enemies with green
Oh
dirt.
no, I didn't know about the blood. I meant the blood when you die. There's
yeah, not
literally
that,
the game
but
over screen has.
Originally, when you
drips
shot
coming
enemies in the game, there was meant to be blood.
Oh, really?
They took
I
that
didn't
out,
know
so
that.
it was quite a heavy game for a
Yeah.
16-bit
Kids.
title.
Yeah.
And for what was ostensibly meant to be this like cutesy game, they went quite heavy-handed with it.
Yeah.
One other problem I had with the game was that, especially with because you're rescuing people, that's basically the point of the game.
You're going to say exactly what I'm going to say, but go on, yeah.
They all look like they're basically doing fine. They're standing around, they're not
no.
panicking.
I know. The teacher's standing there pointing out, you got an F, you got an I'm trying to save you from zombies, woman.
I
They
thought
don't
you were going
look.
to. Go on.
They don't look like they need saving. Especially, there's an army guy.
Yeah, that's the one that got me annoyed.
He can't help. Your kids. This game suffers from the same as a lot of films where apparently kids are better at solving problems than adults,
Yeah.
especially army men.
Well, yeah, have you
Because
not
only-
seen Spy Kids?
Because only the kids can solve the problems. Like,
I used to
Enid
get
Blyton
angry.
You get in small spaces.
The first, the first level, there's a soldier standing right next to a bazooka pickup on the floor, and I was like, "Why
Second
can't
lesson,
he,
second level.
Why can't he pick it up? And just
Yeah.
start
Oh,
using
I
that?
can't see it.
he's trained to
Well,
use it
there
as
was a-
well.
The worst one is the guy who's in the pool. He's just sitting back. He's just
I know,
relaxing in the
lounging
pool,
around.
having a lounge. There's another guy having a barbecue, which I thought was hilarious. Because when you pick him up, the burger gets 100 points, and the guy only gets 5 points. But yeah,
What? No, I found that funny as well. How
Yeah.
the different characters are worth different points. So, like a baby, 700 points. Okay, the teacher, 20 points.
the cheerleader's
The
the most.
cheerleader is the
it's-
most points.
But it's because it's the iconic save the cheerleader.
Yeah.
With like, what's
Yeah.
the what's
Cheerleader save the world.
Save the world. Yeah.
That's from Heroes.
I
yeah.
think it's probably because I noticed that
Well,
the
it's also
army.
because he's a young boy and he wants to save the cheerleader so
Well, you
he
can't be the
can
young
get with
girl,
her.
though, Well, that's confusing.
I couldn't get that working.
The girl on the
So does she get the most points for saving a cheerleader as well? Is she
Yeah.
that way inclined?
I think it's the same.
Yeah.
But
It's a male cheerleader.
I noticed that the army men are worth basically the least points, and I wondered if
I've got the least points is the teacher's only worth 10. That's
Yeah.
the least.
Yeah.
But then the
Oh,
army
yes,
man is
that makes sense.
only worth 100, so it's quite low as well.
Okay, so no, I had a theory, but it's not true of the teachers the least points.
It goes swimming pool man's only 100. Tourists are worth 200 because there's two of them. Trampoline girl, which I think is a bit lame, is worth 300, but she's the only one that can never get actually eaten.
Yeah.
No monster
No,
ever
there's-
climbs on a trampoline. I'm
That
saying,
would be too much.
Yeah,
For
I-
any
I
A
audience.
can't-
zombie
they
could get on a
can't render it.
trampoline.
huh? Do they?
No, it could.
Oh, it could. That'd be
could.
hilarious.
It doesn't in the game, but
I've never seen a film.
none of
zombie film
the
with
neighbours get eaten in the game, do they? The enemies just ignore them.
No,
Oh, no, they
kill
get
them,
eaten.
and then they turn into
Do
ghosts.
they?
Sometimes sometimes you can't actually rescue them. Like there's a level
Oh
where
yeah, I
the
killed some of them
pyramids-
by accident.
Oh,
There's a few levels where they have a couple of them will turn into werewolves. They get a werewolf to attack them,
Yeah.
and they turn into a werewolf.
I did not see that.
Yeah, no. It's sometimes. Did you ever have it? There's sometimes when you play a level, you walk around and a door will just appear for the exit of the level, which I love, by the way, because that's meant to be
Yeah.
the Twilight Zone. And it'll be because halfway across the map, one of the tourists got eaten, and you were like,
I
"Oh,
love
I didn't
when
make
that
it in time."
happens. It just
'Cause
makes
you
it
finished
less
the
work
level,
for me.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's the thing. I always feel one of the bad things about the game was I never really cared about getting a high score. I just wanted
But
to
I
finish
never
the
do.
level.
Is there any game that you actually care about scoring?
Well, you know, the
If
old
it-
ones like Pac-Man and Space Invaders and
Really?
stuff like that.
Have you
Well,
seen
that's-
King of Kong?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not trying to beat
Oh
those
my
guys.
god, that game, that film, that's amazing.
That film is beautiful.
That guy is terrible.
Which one, Steve? Oh no,
The one with long hair.
what's his name? I always say that you're like him,
I also
I want to
enjoy
say
the
Steve
fact.
Weeby, but it's not Steve Weeby. It's not that.
Steve Weeby.
I can't remember his name. It's really annoying.
I
now,
also
but
enjoyed
so
the
go on.
fact that I finally knew where the zombie from Wreck-It Ralph was from.
Oh, is there
You know,
a-
in the bad guy meeting, the zombie there, he was from this, wasn't he?
I haven't seen it. So
I think he was just a generic zombie.
No, he was from a specific game. They were all from specific games.
Billy Mitchell.
Billy Mitchell.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah.
I
So I
agree with
thought-
Anthony. I
I
think
thought
it's just
zombie-
a generic zombie. Like there's a ninja.
Whatever.
as well.
But-
I love in
but-
that scene. If you watch the ninja, he's constantly on edge.
Yeah.
But people, I never noticed that until I went back.
It was great.
Anyone else got any points I'd like to make before I go into trivia?
Yeah.
No, do trivia properly.
Trivia. I
There
did
we
that
go.
wrong,
Well, I've
yeah.
got one more point before you do that anyway.
Sorry, go on. What's
I felt
that
like
big
there was-
point at the bottom?
That's to talk about after the show.
Oh, okay.
Mathematical equation.
It's just- I can see
Interesting.
mine. I can see my name in a big box with arrows.
So I don't
pointing
forget
at it.
to mention
So don't
it.
forget something. All right,
Because
go on.
Anthony wants to get in your big box.
Oh,
I felt like there was no real.
it's not that big.
It's got like 47 levels, whatever it is.
48 and then 8 bonus ones.
Yeah, but I felt like there was no real progression to the game, and part of the problem with that was that they kept on reusing assets.
I'm disagreeing with a lot of the things you're saying in this show at the moment. Like you said, there's no depth as well, which I don't agree with. But
No,
okay,
by
go on.
progression, I mean story progression. Like you don't feel
Oh,
like
okay,
you're
okay, yeah.
getting anywhere in the world, because then you suddenly find yourself back in the garden that you were in the first one, or a similar garden.
Yeah, but you have to-
after being in a pyramid.
You have to suspend your disbelief though. They're literally just levels, like independent of one another.
I know, but there's no real like thread that runs through them apart from we're trying to rescue everyone.
No,
There's
but
no
I
thread
think
in
they.
Pac-Man either. But
I do.
No, but
Ghosts!
that's just like a very simple maze. It's a much earlier game. They could have made like a bare bones story for this to give you some
They did.
motivation.
Actually, it kind of is
They
like
did.
Pac-Man, though. Think about it. It's kind of you're traveling through the maze and you're getting the cherries, aka the people. You're avoiding the
definitely has
ghosts,
similar
the undead.
similar connotations to it. Yeah.
I think the similarity is that it's top down.
I was going to say okay. There's
There's
there's not like storytelling, but I do think they did a very good job of drip feeding content and managing to change just enough that each level feels a bit unique and varied.
Yeah.
Like I think it's very good. I think they'll take one element, for example, like the plants that grow on the floor that you have to use a lawnmower on. They'll do a whole level based around just that plant. And then later it'll be a castle with just vampires, and
It's good
I
progression.
think they do
It's paced
quite a
well.
nice little job of like drip feeding it.
It's like in Zelda when they give you the weapon and then you have to use it. and you have to
Yeah.
walk.
Trains you
I
on how
quite
to
like
use
it.
it.
No, but my point is there any reason the game gives you for going from, say, a garden setting to a pyramid setting?
Because it's a B-movie pastiche.
And that's what I'm saying. There's no real progression there. It's just look at all these locations we've designed, have fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like it'd be better if they said, you know, here's the reason you've suddenly appeared in a pyramid.
Overworld map.
But hold on, but were you really playing Gunstar for the story?
No, obviously not.
I was.
Obviously not,
not.
but this game
But then
doesn't
why
have
did
the
you
sensation.
But why were you relying on this game for a story? Because
I
it
just
doesn't have
think-
the sensation.
I don't think it means story. It means progression, like between levels. Like,
Okay, yeah.
it makes no sense to be in pyramid and then
Yeah.
castle
fair
and
enough.
backyard.
There's no thread. I mean, in Gunstar, there's a reason you go to each of those places. It even gives you the reason before you start the level.
You're saving the neighbours.
I kind of think of it as
What do you
because
want?
each level is sort of given a name, like a descriptive name. I kind
Which
of
I
think of it as
love.
like a new film each time.
Yeah.
So.
Especially when it goes much scarier than level 5. It's level 6. Which I think is brilliant. I love that. I enjoyed that.
But that's like the only progression they provide is a little reference to the previous level.
I guess.
They could have just been
Yeah.
individual. They were basically unrelated to one another.
The only one thing they do is that Dr. Tongue will occasionally just appear in a few levels and teleport away. So you
Yeah.
kind of get the idea that you're
That
chasing
Dr.
after a man, but I don't know what. He has nothing. I don't know what he's doing. He's just a boss at the end. It's really strange.
He drinks a potion, turns into a spider.
Yeah, and
and
then
drinks
a
another
head.
potion, turns into his own
Giant head,
but
yeah.
giant. Where is he getting his potions? This is
There's
my spider
one po-
potion.
I was-
This is my giant head potion.
There's one potion in the game that just kills you, if I remember. Maybe that was a bit harsh.
I thought the question mark one had a chance of killing you and a chance of turning you into
I
a
thought-
big monster.
Yeah, there was one. Was it not just like one that's a poison? Yeah, and it's really harsh. I can't remember which one.
I
it is.
actually really enjoyed that big monster potion.
Yeah,
What
that was
turns you into
good.
purple?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you just felt good, yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, now I can mess everyone up.
You could. I loved as well that you could use rocket launch to blast through walls.
Yeah, you can also use the monster to punch through walls.
Yeah, because it just gave that element of kind of like, well, I guess just a bit more level of skill that you could like think, right, I need to get into this house and rescue the baby that's like
Yeah.
dancing around
Also,
in the house.
level deformation, like you can destroy the ceiling.
Yeah,
That's cool.
but then on the flip side of that, I hated that occasionally when you open an object, the big purple ghost would appear because you had no real way of knowing if he was in the cupboard.
Yeah.
If it was something like the cupboard shaped before you opened it, then it's like, oh, I should have learnt that. But it was proper, just you had to just risk it.
Yeah.
Risk it for a biscuit.
Shaked.
Something just to tell you there's a monster in there.
No, shaked. It's shook.
Shook. Okay,
Is shaked a word as
I'm
well?
all shook up really.
If you're talking about a shake in the past tense,
Any other?
like from
shake.
Abu Dhabi.
Any other? Any other points,
That was
people?
brilliant.
Anyone want to raise anything else about the game?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Trivia.
Trivia, not much, because when we have these kind of cult classic games, there's not much trivia. There was a sequel called Ghoul Patrol, which I remember playing back in the day, and it was awful. It wasn't meant to be a sequel to Zombies Ate My Neighbors, but they kind of reworked it to try and increase the sales to be a sequel.
That
and
happened a lot with games in the old days.
it wasn't good. It's really weird. It's a great one. It's a great one for if any game designers want to get interested to play that and see how to do a game well and then play a game very similar and how to do it badly, if that makes sense. Like you can almost put them next to each other and go, how can this one be so bad when it's so similar?
Yeah.
It's strange. There was another, well, technically a spiritual success, which I had no idea about. In 1997, LucasArts released a game called Herc's Adventures on the PlayStation and Sega Saturn, which used basically the same gameplay format and mechanics as Zombies Ate My Neighbors, but instead parodies ancient Greek mythology.
Oh, really?
I've
That
never
sounds
heard of this
What's
game.
it called?
Herc's as in Hercules Adventures.
Right.
And I've never heard of it, and I looked it up to see if I could buy it because I was fascinated by it. And it's like 60 quid to try and get a copy of. I was like, Whew, I've been
What,
looking
the original
out for it.
cartridge?
Just on the Saturn or PlayStation, the original
Right.
game. Yeah, I've been trying to find a copy in shops.
Wait, is it is the gameplay similar or is it turn
Yeah,
based?
it's top down.
Oh, yeah?
Walking around as Hercules, punching. Like it's got a lot of like Jason the Argonaut skeletons. Basically, the skeletons of the zombies, pretty
That's
much.
cool.
That sounds awesome.
I don't think
Yeah.
they use Greek mythology enough in video games.
Yeah,
No, they really
well,
don't.
God-
There's
God
so
of
much
War.
scope there.
And it's so interesting. Well, yeah, God of War actually, I was going to say. That's
Can't use it anymore. Kind of killed every single Greek myth there is.
Well, they got Ascension. They've just gone back to prequels now.
Oh, is
actually,
that
no.
pretty cool? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't- oh, it's
I was about to say Bayonetta, but actually that's not. That's just mental. Day of the Tentacle, another game developed by LucasArts, is referenced in Zombies Ate My Neighbors a lot. There's a secret level where
I
one of the
s-
bosses, his purple tentacle, is like one of the enemies.
Yeah, the enemies, the purple tentacle I saw, that's a reference to Deadly Tentacle, right? Because I thought either one stole from the other.
Yeah, sort of.
But they're both
There's-
LucasArts,
yeah.
I just realised.
In 2011, a film based on the game was in development. The film was being penned and produced by screenwriter John Darko, known for his work on James Wan's Insidious, the recent one last year that was I didn't think it was very good, but and Aaron Sims' Archetype. I never saw that film, but the story was written by an unknown writer named Mervyn Louis. At the time of the film's in the process of securing rights from LucasArts and obtaining a director as well as financing.
I feel like there are people who just trawl through history looking for zombie licenses they can pay for.
Yeah.
Because zombies are
I
a thing now.
wouldn't be surprised if they're just doing it more. Well, I mean, if they're going to base it on the game, great. But if just the title "Zombies Ate My Neighbors" is good, I quite like it. It is a good
Well,
name.
I'd expect it to be a comedy.
maybe. Or sort of a
If it
whole
came
thing.
out, I would expect it to be a comedy, not a horror.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
that
no,
would-
I'd agree.
Like zombies! Exclamation mark! That would be a musical. A zombie music. Shh, don't tell anyone it's happening. I'm
No,
watching
it must have already
There
happened.
was a musical. I know there was one.
Zombies,
there was one
musical.
like a gothic musical.
Are you
It
thinking
was
of
about-
Rocky Horror?
No, it was about three or 4 years ago, and it was almost a little bit like.
Are you thinking of the puppet show that Jason Segel writes in
No, not that one.
Forgetting
either.
Sarah Marshall?
I've completely. I won't bring it up again. So I've
puppet
completely
opera.
forgotten what it's called. But no, that's the Transylvania.
Yeah, it's the
puppet
the
show or
Dracula
something,
one.
Yeah.
which actually did exist. That was a real play that he put on during his like
Oh, nice.
improv days.
Way
or
to
whatever.
commit, man. That's method acting right there.
There's a final level, which is you get to walk around the LucasArts office, and you get greeted by George Lucas as well. And there's a lot of stuff in there that's quite cool. There's a guy in particular, a designer, who's like a floating head you can shoot called Mike Ebert. And I thought I'd just look him up. I couldn't find any sort of like social media for him, nothing. But his back catalogue
Maybe
of
he's dead.
games, no, his back catalogue on Moby Games is incredible. He's worked on so many great games. At the moment, he's working for a company who I'd never heard of called Toys for Bob as the lead designer on the Skylanders Spyro adventure game. That new one that's basically conquering. No, but that game has sold so much money. Like that game.
It's sold money.
It's sold so many copies. Then, sorry.
You know, Disney's coming out with their own Skylanders-esque game.
Yeah,
called-
Infinity, which I'm so excited for. I can't wait to get
You're
that.
going to buy all the little toys,
Yeah,
Jack?
no, I'm going to try to see if I can get like a dodgy version where someone's got to be able to hack the RF adapters so I don't have to buy the figures. I just want the characters in game. There must be a way I can just buy the little RF
You could dress
batches.
up as each one yourself.
Yeah, and then
Later
scan it in
around
my
them.
hand or something. Steve Vassell of Sam Max fame, who's now working for Pixar as an artist, he's dressed up like Indiana Jones in the last level as well, which was quite nice. And there's one more guy at a desk who says, I cannot wait for the robot game, and he's referring to the fact that the whole team went on and made a game called Metal Warriors for Konami after this, for the SNES, which I never played. I've never heard of Metal Warriors.
I read that the engine for this game was reused for two other games that are both sort of similar top-down. One was an army game, I think. But you can see that on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, I should have written that down.
You can
actually,
see
but
most
I-
of this on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Sure.
If anyone's interested in playing those other games that's similar.
Cool. We get to part of the retrograde part of the show. Anthony,
Oh,
you chose. You haven't thought up something, have you? Oh no.
But it's going to be the obvious one now that I'm thinking
yeah.
of it.
Well, how are we going to review
Is
it?
it going to be a weapon?
No, it's going to be the equivalent. If you had to rate this game as a horror movie
Creature.
enemy, yeah, basically
Yeah.
creature enemy, what would you rate it as?
Can I go straight away quite easy and just say a zombie?
Oh, Jack!
Because it's very simple on the surface. It's very simple. It's very easy. It's very classic. I think the best designs go. How can I phrase it? The best designs, when they work well, they feel simple.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And that's what I think this is. And a zombie is just a timeless classic. I think this is as well. It's simple. There's not much to it, it just walks around going "Rrrr," just like this game just kind of goes around letting you shoot things. But it's kind of a timeless one. So
Okay.
the zombie.
I've thought of one. I'm going to go with the Blob from The Blob. Because
Wait.
Star-
The Blob from The Blob.
Who acted
Yeah.
as the Blob? Was it the Blob as well?
yeah, in the credits it just says The Blob, as himself.
Introducing. Good thumbs up.
Basically because, like you said with the zombie, but in a more detrimental sense, there's not much to it. It's a bit featureless. And with the controls in this game, just like the Blob, you don't really want to touch it.
The Blob was, however, a cult classic.
Yeah, ostensibly, but it's meant to be.
Controversial.
But yeah, so just like with the controls, you don't really want to touch it. It's a bit icky.
I'd want to touch it.
The Blob.
What would happen
many
to the
chances
Blob
you
if you
gonna
touch?
get?
What was the Blob's attack?
You'd be
You get
absorbed
one.
by
Yeah,
it.
you get one chance and then you die.
He'd eat you. Like
Yeah.
that was that. So it would just go. and
So,
start
yeah, the
eating
Blob basically
Like
ate
silly
everyone
pie.
it came
I'd
across,
resist
Yeah.
and
I
it
just-
grew every time.
Just pull
you.
away.
Okay, yeah.
It's
No,
like
you
this. It's like the
can't.
snake
You'd be
from
sucked
Snake.
in.
I'd kick it.
It grows in
Then
every.
it would
Or the,
start sucking
or the
your foot.
anaconda
Then
from
I'd throw
Anaconda.
it.
I didn't
Wait,
grow
you
like
couldn't judo
immediately.
flip that.
I'd bring a knife.
You can't cut
I'd
it.
cut it off.
It'll absorb it.
Like an old pastry.
It absorbs it.
It absorbs everything.
Yeah,
Why doesn't it absorb itself?
it is. That's how it stays alive.
What are you talking about?
Oh.
The Blob.
Okay.
I made all that up. I haven't seen the film.
Oh, I see.
But yeah.
I saw the film years ago. But yeah.
I've got a
stay
thing.
alive?
I've got a thing.
Go on.
It's not an actual enemy. It's more of an actual horror film.
Okay.
that I'm going to liken it to. I'm going to liken it to Paranormal Activity because it
Is that one
promised.
with the
It promised.
poltergeists?
Yeah. It promised a lot.
Robert Patrick? No,
I dunno.
Paranormal Activity.
I
Oh no,
dunno.
sorry.
Can
I'm
I-
thinking
can I just-
the handheld film
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry, go on.
And it promised a lot. But I was too irritated by the main characters of Paranormal Activity to actually care when the poltergeist started attacking.
Katie? Oh, she's beautiful.
No, they were too irritating. They were really, really irritating. And so when things started happening, I didn't care. And so I wasn't scared by it. And so I think, so it didn't have the right effect on me that it was meant to. And that's kind of like Zombies Ate My Neighbours, because it, it promised a lot. I thought I was going to like it, and it was okay, but it was really annoying. And so it didn't charm me as it should have. So I'm giving it a Paranormal Activity.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a Triffid, because that was a cult classic, The Day of the Triffids.
Love that book.
Yeah.
Brilliant film.
And it's very iconic. It's not to everyone's taste. Not everyone knows about it. And to this day, it still scares me, much like this
Really?
game. Yeah.
Well,
How could a giant plant where
It just is scary.
and then
man.
everyone
Come
had to go blind to make
Come
it a bit
on,
more scary?
Plants shouldn't be able to have that.
Do you not like in those BBC documentaries where they do a time lapse and the plants look like they're moving?
No, I don't like that.
I don't. I'll be honest, that does scare me a little bit as well. I always remember thinking, what if the plants actually moved at that speed?
So hang
It'd
on,
scare the
wait.
hell
Is
out of me.
Plants vs. Zombies your nightmare?
Not like that, because the plants are friendly. They're trying to kill the
Oh,
zombies.
okay.
They're under my control.
Right, okay.
sunflowers, happy sunflowers.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's good
Triffids.
thinking, everyone.
Okay, that's good. That evens out. It's quite well done. Okay.
So maybe we should discuss ways that our listeners can get in touch with us.
I think
Or-
we should. I mean, the first one is that they can, not get in touch, but they can go to retrogradeshow.com and listen to a back catalogue for all our episodes, if they've enjoyed this one, of course.
And that's our
You know,
website.
If you've not, don't bother
Well,
going back.
that's got a list of all our episodes on it, right?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Has, yeah. They can also find us on Twitter, at Retrograde Show.
At Retrograde Show, that's just...
Wait.
Yeah.
At Retrograde Show.
One word.
Is that on Twitter?
It's on Twitter.
Twitter. So
Oh,
they can follow us on
MG.
Twitter.
Wait,
That's,
wait.
Twitaway to us.
Tweeter.
Yep.
What?
They can tweet us on Twit.
Tweet us on Twit.
They can email us whenever at retrograde@psychon.org. Does anyone want to try to spell that for me?
CSICON.org.
That's right, yeah.
Nice.
That's good.
That's
A+.
ORG.
Thanks.
And they can also go to Facebook and just search for Retrograde.
And then like our page.
And like us.
and like us.
Did you mention iTunes?
No, I didn't, because you can also take time to go onto iTunes and write us a review if you want, which is exactly what a reviewer named Ryan Russ did, who gave us 5 stars. That's really nice of you.
Oh,
Thank
nice.
you. So
Thanks, Ryan.
drop us a PM on Retrograde Show on Twitter and we'll send you a free badge.
Also, don't get worried if you're as a review that we're going to name you on the show, because we will every time.
Oh yeah, we'll
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
you. We'll tell
But do
everyone.
it.
We'll tell
Right now,
everyone.
you're thinking whether you should or not. But do it. Come on.
And lastly, if you wanted to sponsor an episode of Retrograde, you can go to psychon.org/sponsor. We're back in 2 weeks with what's that
My
game?
birthday
What's that-
episode.
Oh,
I might
what,
add.
What game we doing, Azan?
Theme Hospital. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, break it down. Oh, why'd you pick that one?
Because it's a very entertaining game.
I just love it. I just absolutely love it. Like it. Oh, it's amazing. Everyone's played this game.
I haven't.
Have you not? You're going to love it,
Because
James.
that was a classic.
I mean, yeah.
I'm
It's
excited.
I mean,
very.
we'll talk
I'm
about the
very
episode, but
excited.
any reason why not theme park? Could just feel theme park over
Because
the
Theme
sequel?
Hospital's better.
Theme
No,
Park is
yeah.
older, and it shows his age a lot more.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
If you try and play it now, it's a bit dated.
no, it's a great game. For people
Was
to
Theme Hospital
I prefer Theme Hospital
There is
to
also
Theme
an
Park.
open version. What's it called? Like open
THX?
Yeah,
of
open- yeah, that's
Theme
available.
Hospital, so that's good. So people
Yeah,
can play
yeah.
I
that
don't
if
think
they
that's
want
feature
to.
complete, though. But good old games.
There's the Windows 7 version you can download as well if you guys need the link for
Good old
that. I
games
can
have
give
got
you
it
the
on
link for
there. I
that.
think now.
Good old games are selling it, and that works on Windows 7, so that's all modernised.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I
Is
mean,
Theme Hospital a childhood game for all three of us? Because I played
Yes.
it a lot.
I played it,
Yes.
yeah.
So it's just James that hasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although saying that, I only played it for the first time at university.
Oh, okay.
Our first.
Is that when it came out? When did it come out?
Oh, the year like 1997, 98.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, I was, like, really late to the party.
Yeah, I played it when I was a kid.
Oh, I played it when I
I
was.
played it for the first time at
Bullfrog was
uni,
mine.
so that was, like,
Oh, yeah.
10 years
Anyway.
ago.
Anyway, yeah, that's
Save that for
so,
the show.
Yeah, let's should do Theme Hospital now, shall we?
Let's just crack it
So,
up.
yeah, make sure you play that before next show, and that's goodbye from me, Jack Marshall. Goodbye from Anthony Hobday.
Goodbye.
Goodbye from Zan Fisher.
Bye.
And goodbye from James McFadden.
Right as a review.